my channel if you're new. Today's scary Reddit is a not safe for work Reddit. The title is People Who Take Walks at Night. What's the scariest thing you've seen? Yep, that's right, folks. We're just jumping right in this bitch tonight because I'm ready. I've been in a total reading mood. I just bought The Silent Patient yesterday, which I 10 out of 10 recommend if you haven't read it yet. I'm literally going to finish it today, and it's only day 2 of having it. I plan on buying his other book and reading it. Barnes & Noble, by the way, has a 50% off sale. I'm a repeated Barnes & Noble has a 50% off sale until like September 6th or September 5th. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's September, the beginning of September. With that being said, let's get started. There was one night where a car stopped up the road. A girl got out, yelled for help, then got back in, and they drove off. I have no idea if it was serious or not, considering she got back in the car during winter in a rural, no cell service kind of area, completely dark, no street lights, nor anyone in sight. Temperatures were around 20, and it was snowing. I was walking my dog with a flashlight, and then I heard someone start screaming bloody murder. Flight or fight kicked in. It truly sounded like someone was being stabbed to death. What I found instead was beyond anything I expected. He was a 5-year-old boy wandering down the road all alone. All he was wearing were light flannel pants and a thin t-shirt, no shoes or hat, and screaming so loudly it echoed through the hills. I dropped my dog's leash and walked up to him slowly. He repeatedly was telling me that I'm a mom and that he was going to be okay. I wrapped him into my arms and carried him to my neighbor's home to warm him by the fire and call for help. They later posted an update and said the boy's parents were visiting friends. The boy got up at night to look for his parents who'd left him and his sister's home. While they were out drinking, he got lost in the dark and kept walking and screaming, originally thinking I'd get in the crosshairs or witness some bloody domestic fight is what put my mind in a scared shitless headspace. Plus, dark, no cell phones, no weapons. He was lucky to have found that guy. Do you know how many fucking creeps are out here? I almost got kidnapped near a train station. Some dude drove up to me hella quick and insisted that I was some missing Canadian child and that he'd take me home. Coincidentally, a motorcycle cop happened to drive by and immediately pulled over after I waved him down. He approached the guy in the car very aggressively and told him off. The cop didn't arrest the guy or anything. The guy apparently told the cop the same. I thought this was a missing child, sorry, but he did walk me over to the train station and stayed with me until the train actually arrived. One time, I turned around to see what was behind me just out of intuition, and I saw someone step behind a tree rather quickly and try to hide from me. I stood there for a second to confirm this, then I sped walked home. Fucking creepy. You know what? That story just reminded me of one of my own personal stories. Now, if you're subscribed to my other channel, you guys know that I went to Michigan State University. There's my diploma back there with art I did when I was like 5 on top of it. Also, if you're subscribed to my main channel, hi, thank you, but also I'm so sorry because I have not posted in like 3 months, and I call that my main channel, but this one might as well be my main channel because I post on it more consistently. I'm sorry, guys. It's literally like a weird mental health thing. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah. I'm so sorry if you're subscribed to it. One day, I will get back to it, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately, so maybe sometime soon. But for now, I hope this suffices. But anyway, back to my story. I went to Michigan State, and I, in general, felt super safe on campus. my music fully blasted. I could not hear my surroundings. I was engrossed and in a trance as I walked. I felt like I was in a music video half the time. But anyway, totally unsafe for a female, for anybody, but especially for a girl to do, especially at night. You should be listening to your surroundings and knowing who's around you. But with that being said, I was super observant of my surroundings anyway. Like, I would use my eyes and I would constantly be like darting from one thing to another. And I noticed that someone with a hoodie, and their hoodie was up and they had sunglasses on at night. They walked by me and I noticed in my side view vision, because I turned my head at that moment to stare at a squirrel. MSU squirrels are the best. And I saw that they turned around. And at this point, my heart's beating fast and my anxiety kicks in. Like, I went from being in Sunset Lover ambiance music to a horror fucking movie real quick. My heart's beating super fast. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh shit, like this dude is following me. And at first I was like, maybe I'm being paranoid, but then I got to the bridge to go to the library and realized, oh no. No, this man is actually following me. But because I wasn't going home, I was like, you know what, I'm walking to a super public place, so if this guy is smart, he will fuck off. And remember guys, it was like early evening time still, so if anything were to happen, homeboy would have been jumped by all the surrounding people and thrown into the river, okay? So I continued my path to the library. I'm on the bridge and I get inside the library, and as soon as I get to the front doors, he decides to not go in and makes an abrupt right turn towards the north neighborhood area. So I was like, okay, tweaka, bed. But that's my scary walking story. Not scary, but it's creepy. And it scared the shit out of me then. I think I called like everybody in my contacts list that night. Anyway, walking home from a late night gym session at 24 Hour Fitness, a white man passed me slowing down slowly, took a right turn in front of me. A couple minutes later, I reach the turn and see the van stopped at the exit of the parking lot. It's facing back my way. It's like 4 a.m. and nothing else is going on, and I'm creeped out. The van starts coasting forward slowly after I make a turn, and I sprint across the street to the gas station and into a small dead-end water/air pump station and press my body against an area of the wall that the van can't quite see me. It literally pulls into the air water station and stops. I hear the engine running right fucking next to me, but they never get out of the van. I just stand there pressed against the wall until they pull out and drive around the gas station into the lot on the opposite side of the wall. I hear the van lingering for some time before it goes silent, but still I wait a little while longer before leaving, and the rest of the way I run home. I am an overnight security guard. One night I'm watching the cameras and saw someone underneath a grass tarp where some landscaping was taking place on our property. I was guessing this person was probably trying to stash something before they went into detox, which is next door to our property. I get over to the tarp and I don't see the guy anywhere, so I start walking over to the tarp and lifting it to look for any items stashed. Well, I ended up stepping on the poor homeless guy. Scared the shit out of me. He was cool though. We fist bumped and he went on his way. One time I was walking around my relatively safe neighborhood with two of my friends after midnight. We were probably 16 at the time. This loud red truck speeds by us, which is normal for the road we were on. Then a few minutes later, the same red truck drives by the opposite way, going much slower. Again, just a couple of minutes later, he drives by us, but this time stops 100 or so feet away from us and just sits there, real is insane. I worked night shift for 7 years. One night, a young, thin blonde woman was walking down the street at 2 a.m. with no pants or underwear on and button-up shirt open. I tried to ask if she needed help, and she just stared forward, slowly walking, staring forward. I called the police, and they came and stood in front of her, and she slowly walked in front of the cops' and stopped. I didn't stay and went back to work. I still think about her and what the fuck was going on. I still tell myself it was sleepwalking, Ambien or something, and that she wasn't just assaulted and in complete shock. I'll never know, but she was very pretty and seemed very well groomed. It was still very strange though. Not me, but my friend was near downtown at 3 a.m. on acid and was almost kidnapped. There was a lot of young female kidnappings where we were at, and because he's petite with long hair, he was mistaken for a female target. He managed to run away, but it was of course very traumatizing for him. I worked the night shift on Kadena AP in Okinawa, Japan. I started walking to work because I didn't have a car. I really enjoyed the walks. It was a good way to wind down after work, as the nights were cool and quiet and I could listen to my music without worrying about anyone else around. See, that's why I blasted my music wherever I went. That feeling right here. One night, while walking home, I heard some rustling in the jungle of trees on the way home. Next thing I know, all of the lights went black, and all I heard and felt was a loud whoosh come right at my head. I screamed like a little girl, ran, and dropped my iPod. Oh wow, it broke. Once I made it past the trees, I realized it was one of the giant bats that lived in Okinawa. It scared the living shit out of me. An old man who walked aggressively like Jason from Friday the 13th but sped up, was ready to run, but I walked past him and nothing happened. Put me on my toes though, but holy shit, change your walking form, man. That man's just built different. Almost 100% sure I witnessed a kidnapping. I was going to get my mail late at night while living in an apartment complex, and on my way back, I noticed a woman in her pajamas surrounded by a few men right by a car. There was an argument, and looked like they forced her into the car and drove off. I found her slipper nearby on the grass. I of course called the police, and they came, and I let them know what I saw, but never found out what actually happened. Someone commented and said, similar experience here. In high school late at night, walking home from a friend's house, maybe a mile away. Halfway, car comes cruising super slow down the street. I hear someone screaming in the car. I was sure they were calling for help. I start following the car, and as I get on the phone with the cops, the car starts pumping the gas. So I just run after them and I try to follow them, but I lost them pretty quickly. Never learned what really happened. I need to get a mic stand. I was talking about this with somebody else. They asked me if I had one, and I was like, no, I low-key had forgotten they had existed. Was out late for a the trickle from the slow running water and slight breeze in the trees. I loved those walks. That was until the one night in the dead silence and pitch black. I distinctly hear a man's voice out of the woods say very clearly, "Young girls shouldn't go walking alone in the woods at night." I froze. I looked in the direction of the voice and couldn't see a damn thing. I ran home. That was the last evening walk I took in that park. A dude was following me around for a solid 10 minutes in a car when I confronted the guy. He was just an Uber person that was lost. A couple years ago, I was at the start of a typical work-day night stroll. I was living in an apartment complex in Florida at the time, so it was the only opportunity time to do so without being completely drenched. The moment I was crossing the sidewalk adjacent to the entrance of said complex, I witnessed a middle-aged dude punch his wife, significant other, in the face in full view of me and another passerby. The passerby called the cops. The dude was arrested. It wasn't a scary situation to my own well-being, but I did find the situation chilling. For one, how nonchalant the guy was assaulting his wife or significant other in public, and two, how both the abuser and significant other were pleading for the cops to not be called. It was domestic abuse, so normalized it happened in full public without any second thought or rationale. Would you like to say something? This is my son. I was jogging at night once, and it was pretty dark in my neighborhood. I prefer jogging at night because it's much cooler. I'm right in the grove, and a tiny woman with a miniature Doberman pinscher on a leash freaked me out. They were both so small, I didn't see them until I was running past them. Just picture a 6'3" stocky big guy being startled by a 5-foot woman with an ankle biter dog. In college, I would walk back from the library very late. One night, I was walking back to my dorm, and something told me to look up. On top of the parking garage, there was a person glaring over, looking like they were about to jump. I had no clue what to do, so I called the police. As soon as I looked back, they jumped to safety. I ran up the stairs to find them, but couldn't. The police never found them either. Either way, I hope they're okay today. Edit. Forgot to include that on the same night at the neighboring college, someone else jumped off a parking garage. I've wondered if the two people are connected. I was walking one night in a pretty dark back road near my house at the time when glowing eyes on a round black body came bulleting at me. I shrieked like a child and felt super dumb when it turned out to be a big black ass lamb who got to my feet and rolled over, wagging his tail and wiggling about. He belonged to someone in the neighborhood who was taking him on a walk and ran from them when he saw me. He was a big floofy boy who just wanted love. I seriously felt so embarrassed, but also had to laugh. So did his owner. I saw one of those clowns during all the clown hysteria. It was just some teen and his friends goofing around, but it shocked me to the core for a hot minute. Man, what a time to be alive when clown hysteria was all we had to worry about. We took it for granted. I live out in the country, more woods and fields around the houses. There are dirt paths through the woods, and farmers use it for their tractors, and all during the day. I like to run on these paths because it's usually quiet and no traffic along, unlike the roads. During the hottest part of the summer, I ran at night because it's cooler outside. So one night, it had rained during the day, so all the tracks on the path were gone. I was out running about or around midnight. I had not an easy feeling, but I didn't see anything. But then I circled around on my second pass down a particular way. I saw my footprints, but was someone had just taken a machete and started attacking people at a party just around the corner where we were having a party. Later that night, we replayed the video, and we noticed that the bike accelerated, and I yelled, and a man walking in front of me was holding a machete. He startlingly whipped around and glanced at me. We were glad he didn't swing at the machete. He was so close, he wouldn't have missed. He matched the description of the man who hacked random and multiple people that day. What? I saw a man walking down the street with his full penis out, and he was spinning it around like a fucking helicopter in his hands, like a set of keys attached to a bungee cord right at zipper level. When he saw me, he crammed it back into his pants and ran away. Someone tried to scare me with obviously a fake gun. I was startled for a microsecond, but not impressed by this asshole behavior. Okay, guys, we're gonna read 3 more. Number 1. It was 4 a.m. on a lonely street next to a public park with a hedge running its length. A deep, protracted scream from my left suddenly distracted me from my audiobook I was listening to, and I removed my headphones. The scream swelled and was soon accompanied by fast approaching footsteps which quickly overtook me on the other side of the hedge. I stopped just as a bare-chested man erupted out of the foliage, about 5 feet in front of me. His face and neck were covered in what appeared to be white powder from his nose down. For a brief moment, we locked eyes, me frozen still, him wide-eyed and still screaming, and then he rushed past me, off down the road into the darkness. I was still so stunned. I just stood there for a few minutes listening to his receding footsteps and screams as they faded into nothing, before replacing my headphones and continuing on my way. I still find myself wondering about that guy, where he was going, where he had just been, how much powder he had ingested. What kind of powder? Was that like cocaine, baby powder, flour? I don't know. And neither does this guy. I was walking around Bangalore, India at night by myself. I was a 20-year-old American girl on a study abroad trip. All of a sudden, I saw a giant rat climb out from a sewer. It was bigger than I knew rats could even be. Bigger than the biggest rat depicted in movies or books. It had to be the size of a small dog. I was shook. Then, out of the same sewer, another gigantic rat and another, about 5 or 6 rats were all climbing out of the same sewer, and I was about to have to face them all on my own. I was terrified, and I knew no one would ever believe me, but there was no way to get away from them or change direction, so I'd pull out my phone and try to use a flashlight to scare them. I direct the light at them, and every single one of them looked right at me. They're dirty, they're dark, and now they were running directly at me, but wait, I was wrong. Puppies. They weren't rats, but a whole litter of dirty puppies that had been hiding in the sewer together. Still gross, but way cuter and less scary